So you got into old Commodore computers, you bought one, and soon after or before you have read about the dangers of the old power bricks they come with. And you are here because you want to fix it somehow, and most likely you have saw different videos about this and articles which all tell you to just throw it right away, just throw it out in the trash and buy another one, because on the 5-volt rail this is sooner or later gonna put out such high overvoltage that it will damage your computer. Well, it can be fixed. The stabilizing of the 5 volts rail happens with a 7805 voltage stabilizer, such as this one right here. I show it to you right here for size reference. Now, what this thing does is, of course, stabilizes the output to 5 volts relative to the ground. So you put something from 6 to 36 volts to the input, and on the output it stabilizes the output to 5 volts related to the ground, no matter what. Here's a basic circuit diagram of how this part is utilized. You have your, in this example, 9 volts here, rectified, smooth it out with these capacitors, 9 volts go in, and on the output, regulated output voltage, 5 volts every time. This is what this part is for. As you can see, there's direct wiring from it to the output. Here's this little diagram of these different voltage stabilizer parts. You can see the 7805 up here. As you can see, the part 05 stands for the 5 volts output for each part. Now, how come that the Commodore's power brick puts out overvoltage over time instead of 5 volts? Is it the fault of the stabilizer? No, actually no. Inside the Commodore's power brick there is this circuit. As you can see, the ground pin, called adjust here, is not directly connected to the ground, but instead here's a voltage divider which gives kind of a feedback to the stabilizer, and therefore, since it puts out 5 volts plus related to this point here, whatever voltage adds up here will add up to the output voltage. So in our case, here's a 7805, but since we have this feedback circuit here, in the end, in this example, we put out 12 volts. Now, in the Commodore's power brick, this voltage divider here, and by default, factory fresh, it puts out like 5.2 volts or so. But these resistors are unreliable, as you might have guessed. These resistors have very thin metal steamed on layers in them, and that ages badly, and this is what causes over time the overvoltage on the output. Now, as we saw in this circuit, we don't have that problem. We don't have a stepped up reference voltage. In fact, this circuit right here is not just an example. This is something you can build yourself, and this will work this part doesn't need that resistor circuit around it. In fact, in this exact setup, it will always put out 5.0 volts on the output. No more, no less. Now, how can we apply this to our good old Commodore power brick? I'm just about to show you. You see, this in the middle is the ground pin of the voltage stabilizer, and this big surface here is the ground. You can see that the ground pin has this resistor between the ground and itself in series, and this is the cause of our problem. Also, take note that here's a jumper place between the ground and the direct wire of the ground pin here. So they even thought that in case you want to just jump that connection to stabilize it to 5 volts, no more, you should be able to. And that's the big fix. We don't even need a wire for this, just a big ol' blob of solder. There you go. And now the output is gonna be 5 volts, no more, no less. It's easy as that. It's even designed into it.